Okay, then Your Excellencies, dear all, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this conference on the blue growth in Europe. It's nice to see so many of you in Athens during the last couple of years. Of course, we have been used to only seeing face on the screen. So it's really nice to see so many people gathered for this hopefully very interesting conference. I would especially like to thank all our partners and the partners in this conference. That is then the program operators for the business development programs financed by EEA and Norway Grants. So we are very happy to see all of you, and I know that you have done a lot of work to mobilize good participation from your country. We have gathered participants from actually 11 countries, 9 countries with business programs financed by EEA and Norway Grants, and of course then 2 donor countries, Iceland and Norway. So we are looking really forward to this. And the purpose of this event is to have fruitful discussions on how to create business opportunities within the ocean economy. That is the objective of the 2 days that we have ahead of us. And of course, the blue sectors, they very much contribute to sustainability. So sustainability is the overall objective, and we will discuss how then the blue economy can combine then creating business opportunities with also contributing to the sustainability. So during the next 2 days, we will listen to policymakers, clusters, innovation agencies, companies, organizations, and so on. They will all bring to the table what they have to contribute with. So we will then hear about strategies, business development, and also listen to some very interesting business cases from specific companies. And we hope that that will be inspiration for all of us. And of course, in addition, we hope that the networking will also contribute, that you will find possible business partners. So we are looking forward to the 2 days. My role today is to be the moderator of the plenary session. And perhaps the most important task for a moderator is to keep time. That could be a challenge during this event because we have no less than 57 speakers. So we need a lot of discipline from all of you to be able to conclude this by the time we have set to tomorrow. So, but hopefully this will be good. And as you know from the program, we have 5 sessions. We have first now the plenary session, and then we have 4 thematic sessions. There will be 2 and 2 in parallel. So we will discuss the interesting topics of green shipping, offshore wind, blue bioeconomy, and smart ports. So again, I'm really looking forward to this. And to kick off this event, we have been so lucky then to get the Greek Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kostas Fragkogiannis. He's not able to be here in person because he actually on travel together with the Greek Prime Minister. But he has sent a video greetings to us, and he will then open this. So we have allocated 6 minutes and 25 seconds to him. So let's see if he is as disciplined as we want him to be. So please run the video.
On Honorable Ambassador of Norway to Greece, Mr. Frode Overland Andersen, dear Director of the European Economic Area and Norway Grants Innovation Norway, Mr. Magnar Ødelien, distinguished representatives from 12 countries across Europe, partners in the EEA and Norway Grants, but also those who have joined us from other countries. I am truly happy to be opening the plenary session of this important hybrid event under the general heading of Business Cooperation on Blue Growth in Europe, gathering hundreds of representatives from the marine and maritime sectors in Europe, including businesses, clusters, researchers, policymakers, and other stakeholders. We all need each other as politicians and policymakers can set the scene, but it is only through the cooperation of the private sector, of businesses, of scientists, and of consumers that we have a chance at being successful. I will continue by stating the obvious. We are running out of time and we need to act now. And as the European Commissioner for Environment, Oceans and Fisheries, Virginijus Sinkevicius, has stated, to be truly green, we must also think blue. This is why our Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis led the initiative of the Athens Declaration on Climate Change and the Environment in the Mediterranean at the 8th Summit of the Southern Countries of the European Union on September 17, 2021, which included specific references to the blue economy. In a nutshell, first, he acknowledged the role of a sustainable blue economy in achieving the goals of the European Green Deal in the Mediterranean. Second, agreed to promote the EU blue economy patterns with special attention to reducing plastic pollution. Third, underlined the need to promote a strong EU policy framework to support blue economy development and a more integrated maritime policy. Fourth, underlined that a key component of a sustainable blue economy is maritime spatial planning. Fifth, recognized the added value of the Coalition for an Exemplary Mediterranean by 2030 and its action plan. Sixth, called on all countries to actively participate at the highest level possible at the second UN Ocean Conference to be held in Lisbon next month. It will ensure scaling up of political commitment and concrete action at the global level towards the achievement of UN Sustainable Development Goal number 14 pertaining to life below water. And finally, strongly supported the designation of the Mediterranean Sea as a sulfur emission control area, whereby ships will only be allowed to use fuels containing low sulfur. Ladies and gentlemen, the EU blue economy will help deliver both the European recovery and the European Green Deal. So we are all committed to this, in other words, the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth and improved livelihood and jobs while preserving the health of ocean ecosystems. All 7 of the EU established blue economy sectors are relevant here in Greece. Marine living resources, marine non-living resources, marine renewable energy, port activities, shipbuilding and repair, maritime transport, and coastal tourism, especially those related to shipping and tourism. As you know, the Greek-owned commercial fleet is a maritime superpower, accounting for 20% of the global fleet. In addition, you may not realize this, but Greece positions second in the contribution to the EU blue economy in employment terms after Spain. In other words, Greece's national contribution is about 12% of the total blue economy employment of the 27 member states of the EU. On a domestic level, over 15% of all national jobs in Greece, some 570,000 people, pertains to employment in these sectors. At the same time, as an EU member state with an archipelago, we are one of the few countries where the blue economy exceeds 5% of the national gross value added, as over 7.9 billion euros are generated annually. We are also located in the Mediterranean Sea, where unfortunately 87% of the assessed fish and shellfish stocks are overfished. So it is apparent that Greece's stake in all of this is inversely proportional to the country's small size and population. This is why what you all will be discussing today and tomorrow is so truly important. You have chosen very interesting thematic sessions, namely green shipping, smart ports, both so relevant to us, blue bioeconomy and algae production and offshore wind, another promising prospect for Greece. In our view, the sustainability of all maritime sectors need to be seen under three different but interconnected angles: the environmental, economic and social, without losing sight of the specifics of each other, for example, the degree of exposure to international competition, the maturity of technological solutions for energy transition, financing needs and requirements, and many more. Today's event is organized in a cooperation that comprises Bulgaria, Estonia, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, along with Croatia, Greece, and Portugal that are also part of the Athens Declaration that I mentioned previously. This extended cooperation scheme is something to write home about, as we need all the help we can get. Of course, Norway deserves special thanks for leading the initiative today. I look forward to hearing the outcomes of this event, as I know it will be successful in its aim to create business and cooperation on blue growth. In closing, I am sincerely honored to be opening this event, and I want to wish all of you great success in the proceedings in the next couple of days. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Vice Minister. As some of you may have noticed, he clocked in at exactly 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So that is an example to follow for all of the speakers. So, and you also heard that he made a very interesting and relevant link between the strategy at the European level, that we will hear more about later today, and the strategy of Greece and the actions taken in Greece. So that was very relevant, a very relevant presentation. And now we will get on the perspective from the Norwegian side on business opportunities between Norway and Greece. And to do that, we have the Norwegian ambassador to Greece, Frode Overland Andersen. Please, Frode, the floor is yours.
It helps, doesn't it? Because this is a special honor for me, because it's an area for us as an embassy, from the Norwegian embassy perspective, we invested a lot of time and resources in, because in the blue sector, that's where Norway meets Greece in the Mediterranean. And congratulations also to the team from Innovation Norway in Athens and in Oslo for taking the initiative to organize this conference. This is a very, very good initiative. And as you probably know, and I will not go into details about the EEA grants because I will not steal the thunder of the later speakers, but of course the EEA grants gives Norway, together with Liechtenstein and Iceland, a sort of a trademark in Greece and Cyprus. I have to add, because I also do Cyprus. So through this funding mechanism, donors have allocated a total of 321 million euros across 10 business innovation programs in beneficiary countries. That's quite a lot of money. The allocation in Greece amounts to 21.5 million euros. That's also substantial. And 1.2 million euros in Greece goes to the blue economy. But these are numbers. At the end of the day, what is important is that we create jobs and livelihoods. That's what matters, not the numbers, but the outcome of the contribution. So dear participants, I'm proud to come from a country which is a leading ocean nation. Norwegians have always explored and lived off the oceans, or as we say, we lived on and off the oceans. Though some parts of our history we will leave aside for the moment and just focus on the positive aspects of Norwegians sailing the oceans of the world. We have created some of the most innovative businesses and jobs and knowledge institutions all along our coasts. This is the achievement of the Norwegian blue economy, not only creating value in the capital, but all along our coastline. I'm delighted that Deputy Minister Fragkogiannis has just set the framework in his opening address with respect to the dynamics and opportunities the blue economy presents in Greece. Let me take a few minutes to follow in a similar line of thinking by briefly presenting you the potential of Norway's contribution. In 2017, Norway singled out the oceans as the political priority on our agenda by developing a national ocean strategy. At that time, the total value contribution of the blue economy in Norway was a staggering 68 billion euro. That tells you something about how much value the oceans create for Norway. But we also face challenges from the ocean, and as we already pointed out here, the first and the foremost is climate change, because we cannot afford to lose the wealth of the oceans through the changing of climate and the devaluation of the ocean resources. So we must reduce our carbon footprint. And Norway has set out with an ambitious target toward 2050 to reduce our carbon footprint by 90 to 95% and focus especially on green technology as an important element to this work. Second, as I already mentioned, the value creation through the blue economy needs to benefit the communities across the nation, along the oceans, all along our coast. We have, together with Greece and Norway has the two longest coastlines in Europe. We need all the people living on these coastlines to benefit from the blue economy. Not only the population centers, but actually where people live along the coast. So that's the second challenge, basically dispersing the blue economy out to the areas where we actually can make a difference. Thirdly, we must use and benefit from the technologies and digital tools we have available. These tools will make our industries grow, and we must direct it both to reducing cost and to grow sustainably. Opportunities for blue growth are major across national economies. The OECD estimates that the global economy will double from 2010 to 2030. So we're halfway in the doubling as we speak now. The estimate is this will create 40 million new jobs in the OECD country. So that tells you something about the job creating potential of the blue economy. Given that the world population in the same amount of time will rise to 10 billion, we also know that we need the oceans to create the jobs, to create the food for the growing population, but also for transport, services, and energy, which will be generated from the oceans. So let me talk a bit more about the advantages and expertise that Norwegian businesses bring to the table, as seen from my vantage point in Greece. As I said, this is something of a high priority for us as an embassy, and it's also where we meet Greece in the blue economy. First and foremost, Norway has spent the last 50 years building our expertise in oil and gas industry. We have developed a cutting-edge world-class cluster for oil and gas. But what we see now is as the oil and gas era is drawing to a close, or at least drawing to some kind of where we see the sunset of the oil and gas industry, we see that this expertise is now employed in a range of other sectors. The most obvious sector is floating offshore wind, where you basically use oil and gas technology to produce wind energy out in the oceans. CCS, carbon capture and storage, is another example of where we utilize what we have learned for 50 years in the oil and gas industry to actually promote green and sustainable development. The third one is hydrogen production, where we also take the knowledge from this sector and to go into green hydrogen. Offshore wind is a rapidly growing sector. Norwegian offshore technology particularly comes into play. And I think I will not be overreaching when I say that hopefully we will now see Greece launching its floating offshore wind or its offshore wind strategy before the summer. And this is something we have cooperated together with the Greek wind associations, the Greek government and Greek partners to make happen, because this is a huge opportunity for Greece, and again, a sector where Norwegian expertise and Greek expertise meet. And not just Greece, but the whole of Mediterranean region can play a leading role in transformation of the European energy policies by embracing economic cooperation in the blue economy throughout the Mediterranean. Mediterranean having been sort of left behind in the energy cooperation of the rest of Europe, but we see now if with the green economy going for energy out in the oceans, again, this could be an area for cooperation and untapped potential for the Mediterranean region. Through the EEA grants, we have had the opportunity to work with key partners in Greece and Norway, both on the legislative framework for the Greek offshore wind, but also with the studies to promote making the right decisions and the sensible decisions when it comes to the potential for floating offshore in Greece. But let's also look at the opportunity in the greater maritime sector. As has already been pointed out, Greece is a maritime superpower. And to be completely honest, and don't tell this to the Greeks, but they surpassed Norway and beat us at our own game in the 70s. We're still a bit sore about that, but we'll give it to them. That they're bigger than us. They're the largest. The Greek fleet is the largest fleet in the world. Norway is the 5th measured in volume. Fleet value, sorry, not volume. We're 7th in volume. So there's a huge opportunity for us incorporating on everything that has to do with maritime industries. So we are giving priorities to developing, testing, and implementing new green technology, and basically getting this technology to travel from Norway, where we tested it, into commercialization, which basically means the Greek fleet and the world fleet to be basically taking our technology into the commercial sector. An interesting thing we are currently working on is exporting Norwegian battery technology to Greece, because in 2015 we built our first electric ferry. Now we have 70 of our 200 ferries are electric. Greece is just starting this endeavor to go electric on their ferries, because they have the same challenge as we had in 2015. An ailing fleet that needs to be replaced, and EU legislation putting a premium on emissions from local traffic, including the ferry sector. So this is something we are very keen on cooperating with Greece on, and at the end of this month we'll have the first seminar bringing Norwegian and Greece businessmen together to look into the ferry sector and see what we can do together on our battery technology. Thirdly, I'd like to mention Norway's thriving economy of living marine resources. This is obvious for most people, and for us in the Norwegian Foreign Service, we have worked with promoting Norwegian marine products all over the world. Norway is the world's largest producer of farmed salmon. In 2018, exports of Norwegian seafood reached 10 billion euro, and this year seems to be a better year so far. So in addition to this comes a large industry of fish farming supplies and technology. The joke I know the jokes among the Norwegian fish exporter is that there is no one who is in such a hurry as a dead salmon. So I think it's interesting to see just the logistical apparatus to get a salmon from when it's picked out of the ocean in Norway until it's made into sushi in Japan. I don't think any of us on business class could have done that faster. So that's just to underline the logistical side of it. And Greece is actually also a quite large fish farming nation. I don't think you probably didn't know that when you have your grilled fish out on the Greek holiday islands, it's probably farmed in Greece. So it's a huge fish farming nation, but it could grow even larger. And this is another area for cooperation. Well, to sum up, before I get stern looks from my left here, Norway will play a leading role in ensuring that the oceans are clean, healthy, and prosperous in the future. Climate change, loss of biodiversity, pollution, marine litter, and the spread of microplastics are threatening our oceans. And indeed, so are climate change. This is where international cooperation comes in, but at the same time as we do all this, we must also make sure that the oceans are prosperous and growing sustainably and helping with the challenges we already described in terms of creating jobs, sustainable development, and food for the world. So we have to find the balance between the conservation and the sustainable growth of the blue economy and manage our ocean resources in the best possible way for also future generations. This is, in short, Norway is taking the path of the sustainable blue growth built on cutting-edge technology and green solutions for the future. But more importantly, we are not taking this path alone, as this audience is a very, very good testimony to. We are actively seeking partners and international business opportunities. The path to sustainable growth and sustainable blue growth is best traveled together in partnership. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Your timing was good, so don't worry. The ambassador is convincing. So we all know now that the blue economy is of utmost importance for Norway, for the value creation, for the export opportunities, and also for the development of green solutions. If you combine then the importance of the blue economy with then the focus on sustainability. So I will encourage you, if you want to look at Norwegian green solutions, you should go into theexplorer.no. There you can find showcased a large number of green Norwegian solutions, and many of them related to the blue economy. So I will encourage you to do that. To meet the challenges, of course, cooperation at the European level is important. And we all know that Green Deal is perhaps the buzzword of the day in Brussels. So, and of course, also the blue economy will contribute heavily to the Green Deal. And the approach is the strategy for a sustainable blue economy that was published in May 2021. And we are so lucky that we will now get the presentation of this strategy. And to present it, we have the head of the unit for maritime innovation at DG Mare, Andrea Strașinescu. Please, Andrea, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. I have to say that it's a pleasure. It's a long time I haven't seen a room full of people like today. So I'll present briefly what we are doing in terms of supporting the blue economy from the perspective, of course, of research and innovation, and not only. I hope I can move it. Okay. So European Green Deal was already mentioned, but also in support for the blue economy, there are programs, there is financing that is in place. I don't know, I hope I go in the right direction. Okay, so European Green Deal, as our commissioner, Virginis Sinkevičius, say always, it's no green without blue. So in all the parts of the European Green Deal, the blue economy, it's there. Because if we want, of course, to achieve the decarbonization objectives, if we want to protect the nature, if we want to address pollution, we cannot do it without considering the blue economy. So all the parts of the European Green Deal are strongly linked with what the blue economy can offer and how we can protect ocean, seas, waters. So blue economy, it's not only about ocean and sea. In Europe, we have lakes, we have as well rivers, and blue economy can also be done on land. So looking at this is the global picture on which we work. we are in the second year of the UN Ocean Science Decade, and there are objectives that we have in front of us in terms of having a clean ocean, being able to address all the biodiversity challenges, to be able to ensure from the ocean, from a healthy one, what we need in terms of food, but also energy. And here you have all the European Green Deal strategies and how they are linked to this. The tools that we are using, they are already in place in terms of some pieces of legislation already issued by the current Commission, and some of them coming up. But we are doing as well in terms of financing and using innovation in order to achieve the objectives. There are already tools that are in place which are extremely important, and here there are mentioned Copernicus and EMONET. So we need to know the ocean, we need marine data. Marine data represents the knowledge which will allow us to advance and to be able to deliver with what we do in terms of the blue economy. As well, all of them are linked to ocean observation. So we are aiming this year as well to have an initiative at European level looking at ocean observation. And not being the, I would say, the less important, ocean literacy. It's extremely important that all of us, but also the kids, are acknowledging the importance of the ocean, the importance of the protecting and looking at the ocean with, I would say, an eye that allowed them to value it at its real value. There are interesting initiatives that are happening in Europe, but we want all of these to be able to have them everywhere in Europe. So blue economy was already mentioned. This is the strategy that was announced last year in May. And of course, considering all the benefits in terms of job creation, but also the fact that we can generate quite an important turnover, we look at the blue economy with an eye addressing all the challenges and how we can work together to be able to achieve this potential that it has. So we need, of course, at the end, of course, we need innovation and we need investments, and we need to work all together in Europe on this. So the idea is to set the right conditions. We need, first of all, the ocean knowledge. And for this, I mentioned already, there is the Copernicus Marine, but also there is EMONET. And we are working on the Ocean Observation Initiative, and also do so support as well of the Blue Observatory on economic data. So we need to know the ocean. We need also the right skills. If we want to develop the blue economy of the future, we have to look what are the skills, what are the skills that are needed for the future. So we know that there is a deficit of the workforce, of the skilled workforce in the sector. We know as well that there is an imbalance and not the best attraction of women in the blue economy. So these are the ones on which we work in terms of skills. We need research and innovation if we want really to transform the blue economy. And here we are putting in place at the level of the European Union initiatives, and I'm saying I'm putting in place because even if Horizon Europe started, there are still things that are going to come up. The partnership on the blue economy expected for 2024 now will allow to partner, of course, with the key industrial actors. But also we have a dedicated mission that started already, looking at restoring our ocean, seas and water by 2030. And as well, smart specialization is going to continue to play an important role at regional level. So research and innovation to support all the objectives. But we need as well investments. So the idea is not only to have research and innovation, but also to see how we can support that this research and innovation arrives on the market. So we work as well here. We have an initiative called Blue Invest, and I will speak a little bit more about this later, because this will bring an important amount of the money for the companies, for the startups that are ready to make the move onto the market, but also for the scale-up. Maritime security, another important piece of the puzzle, is going to be looked, of course, when looking at the blue economy. Now, in terms of regulatory triggers, as I mentioned, there are already pieces of legislation that are in force. Some of them are upcoming, and this is a little bit speaking about blue economy, what we look at. So it's energy, but also it's environment, transport, fisheries, but also looking at all the parts that are linked to consumers, and also taxation. So for all of this, the link with innovation, it's extremely important, and either in place or coming, innovation will be needed, and financing, of course, in order to put this in place. Now, I cannot speak about everything. I will try to do my best in terms of what we are doing, but I think you have the flavor based on which, if you are more interested, you can deal on. So the same strategy mentioned that these are the ones that we want to work in terms of transforming the value chains. Decarbonization, biodiversity, also responsible food system, and circularity. And for the support of all of this, it's the innovation, but also investments, and most important, mission ocean. Having a mission ocean, I think it's a clear recognition of the sector, a clear recognition of the importance of ocean, seas, and waters in Europe. What I wanted to say as well, that if you are interested in financing research and innovation, do not look only on the mission ocean, because blue economy, it's in several parts, and you have either in terms of building the knowledge that we need for the ocean, starting with the cluster 4, looking at digital industry and space, but also cluster 6, when you look at the environmental observation, and having addressed as well the sources of pollution. Cluster 5, climate, energy, and mobility, where you have the big part of the transport, but also looking at all the climate science and the industrial competitiveness. There are other partnerships that are financed through the clusters. We have the partnership already in place on the waterborne transport, and hopefully in 2026 we are going to have a knowledge innovation community looking at the whole water ecosystem. So support exists there, and it's just to look what better suits your project. But here it's about research and innovation. So the mission is supporting all the objectives of the European Green Deal, mostly in terms of decarbonization, pollution, but also addressing the restoration of marine and freshwater ecosystems. How we work on a mission, it's looking at what not it's addressed at the level of the clusters. We are not supporting individual technologies, but we are supporting systemic approach in terms of the projects that are financed. And also extremely important is to have involvement of citizens. So it's not probably the most, I would say, classical research project, but it's one looking at a more complex solution and seeing how the solution can be later as well be transformed in a practical one. We have now what we know money for 3 years. So until 2023, all the missions are going to be reevaluated next year, and hopefully the mission is going to continue. We work on the principle of basins in order to be able to cover Europe. You can see that we have Danube up to the Black Sea in order to be able to involve the landlocked countries, and as well there are collaboration across different basins. So the idea, as I said, is to look at pilot and demonstration project in terms of restoring ecosystem, preventing pollution, decarbonization, with two important enablers, which are the skills, but also the digital twin of ocean, so the knowledge about ocean. Now, this is how we work in terms of enablers, and it's mentioning a bit what previously said. We build on all the research projects and all the initiatives at European Union level in order to move on. The level of ambition, of course, is to create a digital twin on ocean, which will be integrated part of the Destination Earth initiative. Digital twin of ocean was already announced this year in September. 11 of February in Brest took place an event organized by the Commission, and the President of the Commission announced the digital twin, one of the key deliverables of the current Commission. So these are the enablers. If we do not have the knowledge and if we do not have the public mobilization, it will be difficult to achieve everything that we want in terms of the mission ocean. What is digital twin? The idea is, of course, to be able to have more data, but also models, to have access to this, and to be able to, of course, with the use of artificial intelligence and high-performance computing, this to be used for further projects that are developed at sea. You know very well that for the developments, either if there is aquaculture or offshore wind, there is licensing behind, and licensing involves having access to data. So this is digital twin. Now, next steps in mission implementation. We have work program 2021. The calls closed on 12th of April. 2022, it will be just next week announced. And we are going to work together, hopefully with all of you, on the implementation of the charter of the mission. So this is what we have in front of us in terms of activities. Now, just to give you a flavor, because as I said, next week we'll announce 2021. You will see a continuation of activities that we are supporting. So the idea is to work around the sea basin, but you will see that we are having also projects looking at collaboration across different sea basins. So in terms of budget, probably the same, quite closely, and the projects are mostly innovation actions. So for the what is an innovation action? It's a pilot and demonstration. So we are working at high technology readiness level. Why I put this slide, and because as I said, it will be valid for the next work program to be announced next week. We have also the concept of associated regions. So each project that is going to be selected will have to launch a call and involve at least 5 regions that are not linked to the ones in which the demonstration is taking place, because we want all this innovation to be spread across Europe. The at least 5 associated regions are the ones that are going to have the capacity building and being able, with additional sources of financing later on, to put in practice this innovation at the regional level. Of course, that this will bring us with quite, I would say, an important number of regions in Europe being involved, but also it will offer a potential for investors, for the ones being already involved in projects, looking at what is interesting at the level of the region, and maybe, of course, addressing some investment projects from this perspective. So this is going to continue for 2022. I don't know what doesn't work anymore. What? Excuse me?
We don't have any other presentation in any other page.
Okay, I will speak without slides. So the idea next week, 17th of May, there will be the info day for the work program 2022. So you can have a look and attend it. Is no registration required. Usually it's streamed on YouTube. So if you are interested to look at and what we are going to put money for the next work program, have a look. Mostly this is Horizon Europe. But what is other part extremely important on which we work, because as I said, all this innovation we want to be brought into the market, it's Blue Invest. Blue Invest is another initiative that we started in 2019, and we saw that a lot of companies, and mostly SMEs and startups, are interested in terms of having support, first of all, to technical assistance that will allow them to go on and to access the financing that is needed in order to reach the commercial stage. So based on a study that we had, we started the initiative, Blue Invest, that was offering technical assistance. We concentrated mostly on SMEs and startups, supporting them. But we work as well with different investors. And in fact, what was important is that we saw that there is a, I would say, huge interest in terms of investors for the sector. And we established the Blue Invest Fund. Blue Invest Fund, it's 100 million that were invested in 5 other funds. Already the amount is there, and they are going until 2026 to invest in the sector. Now, this is the past. Now we are in the next 7 years, and for blue economy, we created a dedicated product for the sector that is going to look at supporting the blue economy. So the product is going to to be put in place under the InvestEU. Estimation are that for the 7 years, there are 500 million that are going to be managed by EIF to be further invested in the sector. And this is an amount we estimated at being at 1.5 billion available for the sector in the next 7 years. What is the novelty? It's also that with the technical assistance that we are going to put in place, we are going to work a lot also with investors, because all this all this amount that is going to be available under the InvestEU, it's going to look at capital. So the idea is, of course, to work with venture capital companies and seeing as well how we are attracting them towards supporting the blue economy. So this is coming. Already Blue Invest, the product under the InvestEU was announced 28th of March, and this is going to be put in place. EIF is going to look for the investment funds. So there is, I would say, a huge amount of support there outside, and this InvestEU, it's not going to be available only for the EU companies. So all the countries, the investment funds can look also outside, I would say, outside European Union per se countries, associated countries, and even elsewhere. We know very well that at the level of the sea basins in Europe, the partnerships that go beyond European countries, European Union countries, are extremely important. Let's look at the Mediterranean basin, where we see that there is a huge need for cooperation beyond the European Union, but not only, Atlantic as well, and even Black Sea, with all the challenges that we have in front of us. So, if I'm able to go back, no, okay. Never mind, it's okay.
Here we go back.
Okay.
One, here you go. One.
Okay.
It's simple. Just one.
Yeah, no problem. So the idea is, of course, I hope that these slides are going, of course, to be available. You'll find all the information about Blue Invest here and what we want to put in place. Something else that I wanted to mention, the partnerships that we need to build all together and to work on. We'll launch soon, and I invite all of you to look at and to see how we can work together, the Charter for the Mission Ocean. The actions that are going to be put in place are going to be based on initiatives from the smallest one to the biggest ones. We have at the level of the European Union, beyond what I mentioned, we have the recovery and resilience plans. We know very well that there are some countries that are strongly involved in terms of supporting blue economy. Probably Portugal is the best example because they already have a blue fund. Greece as well is moving. I heard about a fund that is going to be set up in Greece for supporting the blue economy. So things are happening at the level of the European Union countries, are happening on the level of associated countries. What is important in the next period of time is that we work all together, we encourage the partnerships, and we allow blue economy to happen, I would say, everywhere in Europe. It's not only, as I said, only about the coastal countries. It's also about the landlocked countries, it's about rivers, it's about lake. The ocean starts from the smallest river. And if we are able to work together, if we are able to spread the innovation, if we are able to attract the right investments, we are going to succeed. So stay tuned for the next, I would say, things that we are going to announce. Next week, the Work Programme 2022, the Charter for the Mission Ocean. And if anytime there is any interest from your side to get engaged in these initiatives, do not hesitate to come to us. We are more than happy to work with everybody in Europe. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and sorry for the additional challenge. That was not planned, but you solved it in a very good way. And we are, of course, eager to see then the further implementation of the strategy. And then the strong point of the European Union is, of course, that you have the possibility to combine then the development of the regulatory framework with then strong financial instruments. So that is a very strong thing. And as a lawyer, it's good to see that lawyers sometimes can be useful. Not only showstoppers, because they are seen as that often, but the regulatory framework is important. And of course also the financial instruments. And as a Norwegian, I'm happy also to say that Norway is a part of actually both, because we are implementing the regulatory framework into the EEA agreement, and we are taking part in most of the important financial instruments within the European Union. So that is also a very good basis for cooperation. And that's also why when we discuss the EEA and Norway Grants, we very often combine that with discussions on the possible cooperation on projects under Horizon Europe and so on. So that is important. And I also have to say that I really like the emissions approach of the European Union. We talk a lot about the UN sustainability goals. I have to admit that I'm more happy about the emissions approach of the European Union because it's more specific and more concrete. So that. And as we have heard already from the Norwegian ambassador to Greece, EEA and Norway Grants is an important priority of Norway. And to elaborate a little bit more on that, we have Mr. Christian Grotnes Halvorsen from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Oslo, soon to be placed in Greece, I think. And please, Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Magnar. Dear Ambassador, dear Deputy Minister with us in his spirit still, and you pioneers of the green European future, both online and here in Athens. Before I dive into the EEA and Norway Grants, I there are a few things that no one has touched upon from this stage so far. It's a common phrase in foreign policy that you are only capable of dealing with one international crisis at a time. Had the pandemic, it was replaced by the war in Ukraine, and that now seems to be all absorbing the news and the attention of the politics. So one could perceive that there is some truth in that. However, for the sake of the planet and our economies, we need to prove that we are able to tackle multiple crises. And I would say, at least here in Europe, we are on our way to prove exactly that. We have embarked, as we've heard, on an ambitious road to green transformation. Our economies and societies will undergo fundamental changes. Earlier, the public sector, for the most part, maybe referred to businesses and industries as polluters and activities that needed to be regulated and controlled. Today, I would say the atmosphere is quite different. Science and industry are key to solving the climate crisis, meaning everyone in this room and those who are with us online are the true pioneers of the green European future. As we also heard from the Commission, green is the color of the century. Blue is, however, the color of this conference. But for those of you who are familiar with Chairman Mao's expression and phrase about cats, the color makes no difference as long as they catch, catch the greenhouse gases, or at least reduce them, and makes all of us carbon neutral within 2050, which is the overarching goal. So, as a representative of the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, first of all, I'd like to say that the ministry is responsible for promoting Norwegian businesses abroad, and I think our ambassador did a very nice sales pitch in that regard. We have long experience, we have state-of-the-art technologies, and we have highly competent employees within the blue sector branches that this seminar or conference is tapping into. We are also keen to find new partners and to learn from one another. And some of them are represented here today, and if you don't already know them, make sure you approach them in the coffee breaks or during the matchmaking event tomorrow. Secondly, I've been invited to say a few words about the EEA and Norway Grants, and for those who do not know the background why we have these financial mechanisms, let's just for easy reference say that they have their origin in the EEA agreement. And this agreement is what makes Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway part of the internal market in the European Union. Now, the map that you see on the screen shows which countries are eligible for funding. It sort of mirrors the EU cohesion funds, and the objectives are to reduce social and economic disparities in Europe, but at the same time strengthening cooperation between Norway and the 15 member states that are highlighted on the screen. Should make just one remark and say that Hungary is also blue marked here. They are eligible for funds, but there are no programs currently being implemented in Hungary. So overall, as the ambassador said, up to 2.8 billion euros with Norwegian taxpayers' money are contributed and poured into the EEA and Norway grants. Norway's contribution stands at 98%. And we cover many different sectors. Business and research are only two of them. And many of you are already involved, I know, and you receive support through the EEA and Norway grants, but you have most likely not had anything to do or direct contact with the Foreign Ministry in Oslo. So the link to us is that we are sort of on the top of the organizational pyramid of the grants. We are not the ones assessing your applications or selecting projects, and I think you should be happy for that. We have more professional people dealing with that, as is Innovation Norway and partners in many of the beneficiary states. The ministry is, however, setting the overall framework and priorities. We are the one negotiating with the EU and the beneficiary states. We are approving the programs and we are developing the regulations. So in some sense, you could say that we are maybe guilty of some of your bureaucratic headaches that you have maybe stumbled upon, but let's see if we can improve that in the future. We are in the high season for implementation right now, and I'm really looking forward to hear from some of the projects that are going on. At the same time, in the ministry, we have already started preparations for the next programming period. And I think you said, Magnar, there were 57 speakers. So if there are something to remember from my intervention, there are 3 things I would like to convey to you. Firstly, what do we know about the next version of the EEA and Norway Grants, which is supposed to cover the time period from 2021 to 2028? And my calendar and your calendar say already 2022. So we are a little bit late. Negotiations have not yet started. We hope that that will happen anytime soon. Second question, will we have similar business programs in the next funding period? Well, green is not going to go away, and Europe will not be carbon neutral without public funds and tools. So the answer is yes. Which brings me over to my second takeaway. There will be made available a lot of money in the business sector and research sectors, as well as in others, to speed up the green transition in the years to come. So we need to be very smart at designing our business program in the future. We need to find our niches, and we need to be complementary to the billions and maybe even trillions of money that Brussels will make available. So basically what I'm saying is that if you have inputs in this regard on how we can design our program smarter, this is really your time to speak up and let us know. Just to say a few things that we are already aware of. We know that state aid rules have been challenging, especially in the blue sector. And we also know that a coherent set of regulation across countries is preferred. But I'm sure that you also have other valuable input to us, so please share them with us. My third and last point, cooperation and partnerships cannot be forced. Business opportunities need to be explored and assessed. It takes time. It also takes time to build relations. And that is why this event can prove to be very valuable. Most open calls are, however, closed, and future programs and calls lie some year into the future. But there are still funds available that you can reach and that can be used to prepare the ground for future cooperation and investment. For example, feasibility studies of market opportunities and the needs, matchmaking events just like this, and study trips to get to know each other a little bit better. And most of the business programs have funds left for this. Also, national bilateral funds are available all the way up until 2025. And I would encourage you to contact our embassies in the respective countries to discuss your proposals, as the embassies are having their say in how these funds should be used. So I'll stop there. I'll leave you with a term coined by Innovation Norway a few years ago, I believe. If I'm wrong, you have to correct me, Magnar, but it's something like good for business, good for the environment. And this is exactly what you're here to achieve. So thanks for listening and have a fruitful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And thank you for the kind of breaking news that there will be business programs in the next program period. You have to remember that this session is recorded, so we have the evidence, so we will use it if necessary. So, but that is good, and also good that you talked about that we have some funding left. Of course, most of the main calls they are closed and the projects are selected, but we have a few calls left, and I will then just like to mention, since we are in Athens, that Innovation Norway will, during the next few days, publish a business call in Greece. So look for the opportunities, and you can consult the Innovation Norway homepage on the EEA and Norway Grants, because then there you will see all the calls available and so on, and of course the FMO call. You mentioned then the programs, and of course programs, they have to be developed and implemented, and you said that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are not too much involved in that, but of course you have established a secretariat in Brussels for doing that job, the Financial Mechanism Office. And today we have Margrethe Assersson here to tell you a little bit more about then the blue part of the business programs in this financing period. So please, Margrethe, the floor is yours.
Dear Ambassador, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, clean and healthy oceans and waters are crucial. And the EEA and Norway Grants wants to contribute to ensure that the economic development in marine and inland waters are done in a sustainable way. And this is why the EEA and Norway Grants have Yes, thank you. So this is why EEA and Norway Grants have programs that support development of a sustainable blue economy. The most important place for such support is within the blue grant schemes in the Business Development, Innovation and SMEs programs, and I will talk more about these programs in my presentation. The Business Development, Innovation and SMEs programs support private enterprises and especially SMEs, and has a total allocation of 321 million euros. And the programs are financed under both the EEA grants mechanism and the Norway grants mechanism, and here you can see the split between the two different mechanisms. For an SME in a beneficiary state, it might not make a very big difference which grants they are receiving support from, but it does define who can be project partners in a project. And on the side, you see the 10 different business innovation programs and the allocation of grants to each of these. Now we are more than halfway through the program period, and all the 10 business programs have been developed, and they are all in implementation. And the programs are covering different sectors or focus areas, as we call it. And here you can see the allocations to the different sectors that are supported. And you see that approximately 50 million euros has been allocated to support blue growth. But how did we decide upon this allocation of grants? It was done in a bottom-up approach, and it started with a broad discussion with all the involved partners. We arranged stakeholder consultations to hear what were the real challenges for businesses in the different countries, and also to see where support were needed. And here you see some pictures from these stakeholder events, and you see the stakeholders actively engaging in the discussions and giving inputs. And after we had received these inputs, we discussed funding gaps, and also where our support could best benefit the SMEs in the different countries. And we also discussed what could be the expected results from such a support. And based on this, we made a program concept, which was approved by the donors. And after the programs were agreed and formalized, the programs were ready to be implemented. And the implementation started with program launches. And here you see some pictures from different program launches that that was arranged. And how does a business access the funding? All the grants are accessed through calls for proposals or small grant scheme calls, which in practice is a competition for the best and most suitable projects to be awarded grants. And after the programs had been launched, the calls were opened for applications. In addition, the program and fund operators and the donor program partners organized matchmakings for businesses to establish partnerships. And bilateral cooperation is one of the objectives behind the grants and is encouraged in the call. So as of today, we have 480 business or projects contracted in the 10 business programs, which includes then all the focus areas. And we still have many calls that are not finalized yet, so we expect this number to increase in the future. And it is important to highlight that in our programs, we only support sustainable blue growth. And here you see the 4 business programs which have calls dedicated to blue growth. And you can also see the amounts which has been allocated to blue growth. And it's illustrated by this beautiful picture from the WOSOP project in the Portuguese innovation program. And the Portuguese program is the largest of all the blue growth programs, with an allocation of 39 million euros. And it is the only program that is fully dedicated to blue growth. And it has also components of business support, research, and education. In Poland, we have 16.8 million euros allocated to blue growth. And a second call was just closed, and it was a high interest among the SMEs in this call. And we are very excited to see how it goes after the selection is finalized. In Greece, we have had 2 calls with the blue growth launched, and unfortunately the interest has been lower than we expected. And we hope to see many blue projects applying in the 3rd call, which Magnar mentioned will be launched shortly. We also have blue growth in Croatia, and this program has an allocation of 9 million euros to blue growth. And also in Croatia, we had lower interest than expected, and the second call is currently in selection procedure. So we are also excited to see how the results will be from this call. I would also like to mention that we did have blue growth calls in Romania, but however, the interest was very low, so we did not have any projects contracted in Romania. So we have now looked at the allocations in the business innovation programs, but the EEA and Norway Grants have also other programs who support blue projects. And these are the environment programs, the energy programs, the climate change programs, and also the research programs. And here you can see some of the countries that are the most relevant for this support. Education is not on this list, but is also a part of the Portuguese Business Development Innovation Program. And today we have a total of 84 blue projects which are contracted across all programs and all program areas. So where are we regarding blue growth with the grants? At the time being, most of the calls are closed, but we still have some calls to be finalized before we know the exact number of blue projects which will be supported. We have seen that there was a lower interest than we expected in many countries. And when it came to the funding in Blue Growth, and many programs had to relaunch the calls to generate more interest. We also see blue projects in other focus areas, for instance, under the green industry innovation or the green growth schemes. And forward, we will be looking at the lessons learned from how we have worked in this program period. And we will also focus more on the projects and the results that we expect to achieve from our projects and programs. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And you might have noticed that I showed some nice picture on the back of my slides. And they're all projects which are funded under the Business Development, Innovation and SMEs programs. And if you would like to read more about these projects, you can find more information on the EEA and Norway Grants website, which you saw, I hope, the link to here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Margrethe. And as you said, 84 projects, kind of projects defined as blue, are under implementation. And I would encourage you to go into the project database of FMO to read about the projects, because we have a lot of interesting projects. And furthermore, it's also important what Margrethe said, that also projects within the blue sectors are financed under the Green Industry Innovation Scheme, because it's not possible to make a very, very clear distinction between that, because of course you have green projects also within the blue. We have mostly green projects, even though it's, yeah. So the situation is actually a little bit better than maybe you have got the impression of. But we have now kind of set the stage for the thematic discussions, but we will continue with that a little bit, because now we will have very short presentations from each country on the priorities, activities related to the blue sectors in the respective country. So that will be interesting, and we are now kind of on time. So for the speakers that will come now, you have only 6 minutes, so I will encourage you to then be disciplined, because you are the only persons then between us and the lunch. So have that in mind. But we will start with Bulgaria. We will start with Mr. Dimitar Savo. He's the director of the National Transport Policy and of the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Transport and Communication. Please, Dimitar, the floor is yours.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my appreciation to the host for the kind invitation to the conference and also to its excellent organization. I believe that such events allow us not only to exchange ideas and information, but also to develop new partnerships and facilitate joint actions. In the next few minutes, I will speak briefly about the developments in the blue economy in Bulgaria with a focus on the transport sector. Bulgaria has a relatively small coastal and maritime space, but it has a strategic importance to the whole economy. The Black Sea coast is one of the centers of economic development and accounts for up to 10% of the country's total population. The main marine-based sectors, including coastal and maritime tourism, fishery and agriculture, shipping, ports, shipbuilding and repair, and oil and gas exploitation, generate roughly 2% of the national gross value added and accounts for 3.4% of all jobs, placing the country above the European Union averages. The coast draws significant number of domestic and international visitors, and tourism also generates 80% of all blue economy jobs and contributes about 69% of the blue economy gross value added. Maritime transport is traditionally well-developed sector in Bulgaria that contributes 2.3% of the jobs and 4.4% of the Bulgarian blue economy. Liquid bulk is the dominant type of cargo, accounting for roughly 40% of the turnover. As you can see, the traditional maritime-related sectors are well developed, but there is still untapped potential in the emerging blue economy sectors. The relatively small and closed character of the Black Sea ensures that successful development of blue economy is only possible through deep cooperation between the riparian countries. While there are a number of existing regional initiatives, in 2019, with the support of the European Commission, we started a new one, the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea. This is a partnership between the Black Sea countries, which is very similar in nature with the existing West Med initiative. Bulgaria was the first coordinator of the Common Maritime Agenda in 2020, and we set out priorities toward improving the sustainability of shipping in the region. The main challenges in the sector are digitalization and green transformation. Digitalization has become an essential part of any business today, and the maritime sector will ensure it deploys the latest technologies in a timely manner to stay competitive and attractive and to exploit the opportunities these new tools can offer. The development of data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, for example, could help optimize processes by calculating the best route for ships, optimize docking in ports based on the estimated time of arrivals of various ships, or accelerate cargo management. On national level, Bulgaria has already deployed maritime single window, and we are regularly upgrading our VTIMS system based on the latest technological developments. Our new objectives include the deployment of the port community system in our maritime ports. Another key principle the Common Maritime Agenda aims to encourage is the development in the maritime economy while protecting the marine environment. From transport viewpoint, this includes reducing the waste from vessels reaching into the water and protection of marine biodiversity, including limiting the spread of marine invasive species. Bulgaria is working on these issues, and the project for development of port reception facilities is underway and under implementation in the two biggest ports of Bulgaria, the Varna and Burgas. Another aspect of the green shipping is the reduction of the carbon footprint by transition to cleaner type of energy. We are participating in the EEA project, flagship action for electrification of a number of EU maritime ports. By 2027, we are hoping to construct infrastructure for alternative fuel, at least at the port of Burgas. Maritime transport is always part of a multimodal transport chain. The competitiveness of maritime transport links depends on the efficient integration of maritime and hinterland transport. Having this in mind, I would like to mention two projects that complement each other in order to achieve better integration between different transport modes. The Thessaloniki-Kavala-Alexandroupolis Burgas-Varna-Ruse railway line project aims at ensuring efficient and reliable connection between the Greek, Aegean, and Bulgarian Black Sea ports. The key component that extends potential is the inclusion of the port of Ruse, which is located on the Danube River, and it provides opportunity for shipments within the logistical chain comprising of maritime, rail, and inland waterway transport. The Danube allows cargo to reach the Central and Western Europe in a sustainable and efficient way. In order to fulfill the full potential of the connection, we must ensure reliable shipping along the river. Here lay the benefits of the implementation of the Fast Danube project, which is a joint Bulgarian-Romanian action for solving the fairway bottlenecks and ensuring good navigational status in the common section of the river through long-term technical solutions. This project, which I spoke about, deviates a little from the specific topic of the conference, but it shows that the potential of the blue economy should be always considered within the framework of the economy as a whole. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dimitar. When I hear such interesting presentations, I always feel the need to comment on them, but I will also be disciplined, so I will not do that, because then we will use a lot of time. I also forgot to mention that we will have a coffee break after 3 more presentations, and then we have the last part of the session after the coffee break. But now it's Croatia, so now it's a presentation by Mr. Ivica Trumbic. He's an independent environment consultant. Please, Ivica.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody. I'm going to give a strategic overview of the status of the blue economy in Croatia, with a focus on its prospects and challenges. Croatia has a great potential for coastal and marine, for a blue economy, and is it a blue economy now? That remains to be seen, because I want to make a difference between ocean economy, which is just the economy using marine and coastal resources, and the blue economy, which is more sustainable use, which is based on a more sustainable use of ocean resources. But I'm not going to talk a lot about it. There is a strategic context for blue economy, but not one which is specifically focusing on the blue economy. We have the recently adopted strategy for development of Croatia until 2030, as well as the national plan for reconstruction and resilience, but there is no mention of blue economy at all. You can infer from what is written there, but considering resources that Croatia has for development of blue economy, one would expect that there is more mention. But it remains to be seen that in the near future, after the European Union has adopted the blue economy strategy, that this will come up as a more prominent issue in Croatia. The evolution of the blue economy in last 10 years is based on the data from the Blue Economy Report of the European Union. It's not fully clear how it's calculated. Does it focuses entirely on the blue economy as we define it, or it also includes all the ocean-based economic sectors? But that doesn't matter. So it's roughly stable in last 10 years, from 2008 and 2018, as well as the growth of the share of the tourism, which is the dark blue color that you see here, is been increasing in these 10 years. Similarly is with the gross value added, which again has been relatively stable in 10 years, but again the growth of the share of the tourism in the overall blue economy sector in Croatia has been growing in these 10 years. That is the result of enormous growth of tourism based on resources that we have in Croatia for development of tourism. So that doesn't mean that other sectors have not been growing, but the tourism has been the major contributor to the gross value added, which is still roughly around 10% of the total gross value added in Croatia, but the tourism is actually contributing 20% to the overall economy in Croatia. So, what we can conclude in last 10 years, that the blue economy is labor intensive, it's contributing less than it should, and that the tourism is the the major contributor to it, which, as we know, is a very labor intensive. But we should be aware that the potential for blue economy, as I said before, in Croatia are very big. It's the second. It's a Mediterranean superpower in terms of the length of the coast. After Greece, is the second country with 6,000 kilometers of coastline, and we have other potentials that you will see from my colleagues from Croatia that are present here. That this sector has been growing. These sectors have been growing in the last 20 years in spite of the lack of the stimulus from the government to help this ocean-based blue economy growing stronger than it has. But you will see what that great achievement have been made in Croatia in recent years in this sector. There are, of course, some threats from climate change to, above all, marine resources and coastal resources overexploitation, where, again, tourism is a great contributor to this overexploitation, because it's using a lot of coastal space, not always in a rational way, and is generating a lot of waste. So that's something that we have to be very cautious for in the future. Finally, I would like to give two scenarios for the growth of blue economy in the future. One is the business as usual, which is based, if it will take place, it's based on gross value added and employment growth following the same pattern that we had in the past. So I mean, labor intensive, less gross value added than the employment. So it's good maybe for employment, but it's not good for the economy as a whole. So overall low economic growth may also be a danger, and this business as usual can happen as the low rate of economic growth would be a main feature in the future, which we have some elements that might threaten the current relatively high growth. There are no major policy changes, meaning no more strategic stimulus to the blue economy growth, no major technological or environmental development in terms of improvements, continued depletion of most important coastal resources, and low rate of technological innovation, and so on. So there's a number of elements that we have to keep in mind here when thinking of future blue economic growth in Croatia that can turn into a business as usual scenario, which in the long term may not bring benefits that we are expecting from a country that has so great nature resources for the blue economy growth. And then there is the blue economy scenario. What if we change a few things? What do we need to do? First, it's based on higher economic growth, which at the moment is, but at the moment the growth is relatively high, but still it is under threat, as we know, from COVID, from Ukraine, and who knows what in the future is expecting us. There is reduced environmental degradation, which we still have in some areas, particularly in urban areas. Less development of resource-efficient technologies and the digital economy. That there should be strategic framework in place that is focused on stimulating blue economy, balanced coastal spatial development, which is very important, where we have great space, a lot of space, but in the future, if we continue at this space, we may use it very much and very fast. The sustainable tourism, which is the result of the rational use of coastal resources, organic seafood protection, the technology, and use more than today of the management tools, strategic ones like marine spatial planning, coastal zone, integrated coastal zone management, vulnerability assessment, particularly with regards to impacts of climate change and so on. So this is something that these are the elements in the strategic approach that we have to change in the future that might bring, and will certainly bring, if they will take place, for a better and blue economy growth in Croatia than it is today, which you will see there are a lot of things going on. But if this happens in the future, it certainly will bring much more benefits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we are going a little bit more north. We are going to Estonia. And from Estonia, we have the Vice Minister for Maritime Economy at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications, Mr. Kaupo Leneran. Please, Kaupo, your floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to give you a short presentation about Estonian blue economy. It's good that I'm before the lunch, not after the lunch, so you have all my attention. So Estonia, it's one of the most digitally advanced societies in the world, and we have recognized the importance of blue economy. We have created in strategical level in ministries positions as mine as well that really focusing to the growth of blue economy. We have really good e-governance and e-services in Estonia, which can be used in blue economy and in shipping industry as well. Estonia as flag state is improving itself, and in the autumn of 2022 we start to market ourselves. We have modernized our value proposal for shipping fleets. Estonia is building up its maritime cybersecurity hub, which is one of the only ones who is really focusing only on maritime cybersecurity. And we have really good background for it because the NATO Cybersecurity Center is located in Estonia as well. We have really green technology oriented maritime sector who is using a lot of new solutions every day, and they are continuing to do it and have really ambitious plans. And also tomorrow I give you a presentation about offshore wind, and we have really ambitious plans and huge potential for offshore wind production in Estonia. Historically, we are in the very good location between Europe and Asia for logistics, and we have a lot of deep water ports, and which gives advantage for us. We have really a lot of free land behind ports who are connected to the railways, who are connected to the by the sea, by the roads, and we have in the last years a lot of investments in those areas where you have perfect access to everywhere, and then they can develop their industries in those lands in there. Also world leader in human capital, tech community, innovation, collaboration. We have highest number of startups per capita, and really vibrant communities who are seeking together solutions. So if you get challenged, you have a lot of companies who can help you to find out the best challenges, and we also are keen with innovation. So about trustworthy business environment, we have stable political and legal environment, excellent collaboration with other nations, global one in cybersecurity, now number one in EU and number 3 globally. So in the maritime cybersecurity we are making huge steps as well. Ease of doing business with and members of most important organizations. We are green-minded country, and we talked about green taxation before, so we're really focusing of modernizing our taxation system. We talked before about e-governance. It's like, let's say, we have around 99% of public services online. You can start company in 15 minutes. You can make your taxes in 3 minutes. So it's really easy to doing business with. And because everything is online and really fastly accessible, it's hard to go back from it. It's like when you give public transport free to the people of your country, then you cannot never ever take it back, because there will be a lot of unhappy people and persons in there. So you can do everything online, e-notary, e-signatures. We have even specialized systems developed for ship owners who can access the link between ship owner and the flag state. It's there. You can do everything online. Forget about emailings, everything. E-seafarer system links seafarer, country, and ship owner, and training centers. You can do everything online and be efficient. At the moment, we are updating our maritime strategy. It's called Maritime Policy White Book. It's our main idea is that public policy supports competitiveness, so country has to create the environment to businesses to grow and make cooperation together. So as you see, maritime education, sustainable maritime economy, sustainable area, sea area and ports, they are all in priorities, also coastal tourism, and we are continuing to develop it, and in the autumn it should be ready. When we talk about maritime cybersecurity hub, then I welcome everybody to collaborate with them. I can freely share. I'm free to share the contacts with them because the maritime cybersecurity aspect it's about technology, communication, and human element. You have to watch the cybersecurity aspect of all of them, and as we all understand, the future of blue economy, it's all about the smart solutions, smart technologies, all the smart software to make things more efficiently. So without cybersecurity, you are really vulnerable for attacks, and you can have really huge impact behind it. So Estonia Maritime Cybersecurity Hub is looking for shipping companies, ports, maritime training institution to cooperate with. Also, custom-oriented industry. We are globally in ship repairing business, building new generation ships, not the huge ones, but smaller ones, and using smart solutions, and helping to rebuild and modernize the fleet what you have at the moment. Small example about innovation. We have island of Saaremaa. We are a really small country, 1.3 million people. There is island of Saaremaa, which is 31,000 square kilometers, and it's full of shipbuilding companies who are using modern solutions. A lot of them giving really thinking ahead with battery solutions, using new technologies, environmental friendly painting, everything what you can have. And a lot of them in this small island, they are globally competitive. So really a lot of good innovative minds in this island. And my wife is also from there, so it's good. And how to go ahead? So we are really looking for cooperation partners from all over Europe in different areas of blue economy. It's a huge challenge for all of us, the green transition and everything which involves with it, the smarter solutions. Also, we are looking for possibilities to invest in maritime businesses in other countries, and especially we are welcoming partners to invest in maritime activities in Estonia, starting from offshore wind. As I mentioned, I will give a more detailed presentation. We have potential more than 8 gigawatts in Estonian sea area, and green and marine technology, ports, logistics, cybersecurity, shipbuilding, software solutions, everything is there. We have had a lot of startups and unicorns, and the country is also keen to support blue economy. We are ready to support as grant over 3 million euros when you invest in industrial investments all around Estonia. The government is giving their support. If you create jobs in Estonia in the area of blue economy of support services, research and development, over 1 million euro support for government, and especially in the crisis where we are now, energy independence crisis, and we need to fastly move forward with other solutions. In strategical investments, the government is flexible of supporting and issuing other amounts of grants to support blue economy and other areas. So thank you. I try to stay in the time.
Thank you very much. And we have had now a rather long session, but we will have one more presentation before we have a short coffee break. And after the short coffee break, we will have a rather short session before the lunch break. But now it's Iceland. And representing the Icelandic Research Agency, we have Mr. Egil Nilsson. And the Icelandic Research Agency is, of course, partner in several programs financed by EEA and Norway Grants. So please, Egil, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Magnar. I will give a brief presentation on sort of some aspects of the blue economy in Iceland and describe the sort of support system, and I also want to highlight our excellent Icelandic participants here at this event. So just briefly on the Icelandic Center for Research, RANIS, what we do is sort of strengthen the foundation of the Icelandic society when it comes to the knowledge community. So we run competitive funds, 29 within Iceland, and our national contact points, for example, for Horizon Europe and other international programs, including the EEA and Norway Grants, where we are DPP, or Donor Program Partner, in Portugal for blue innovation and within other programs. I also want to highlight our partners in Iceland that do a similar or same role, the National Energy Authority for energy, environment, climate change, low carbon, and then Business Iceland, which is a very valuable partner when it comes to sort of the business side of the EEA and Norway Grants. We also have a partnership opportunities sort of portal, so if anyone wants the slides, then you can find the link there. And that's administered by the Ministry for Foreign Affairs in Iceland. Just briefly, sort of in context of the blue economy with Iceland, I mean, it's a small country, 103,000 square kilometers, 370,000 inhabitants. The reason for why I wanted to show this map is that essentially all settlement in Iceland is coastal. If you take sort of the biggest parts or biggest towns in Iceland that are not non-coastal, such as Egilsstaðir, 2,500 people, it's only 27 kilometers from Seyðisfjörður, the nearest port. So the way that Iceland was built up, and you see from the graph there, when Iceland became independent in 1944, 90% of the export revenue was seafood. So fisheries is what Iceland was built on, and when sort of the economic exclusive zone dialogue after the Second World War and the decades or the years thereafter took place, then the chief negotiator of Iceland at the time, Hans Andersen, sort of noted that Iceland is a rock surrounded by fish. Take away the fish, what do you have? And at that time, not much. But fortunately, this has diversified quite a bit. So of course, this, well, rock is also seen as a very beautiful place to visit, so tourism has grown quite a bit. And of course, there are energy sources such as geothermal that have been utilized. And then sort of the knowledge community around these resources has built up very interesting industries. And I want to highlight this in the context of sort of the work that the Iceland Ocean Cluster does, who very well generously lended us these slides, because when it comes to, of course, seafood in Iceland, that has grown into sort of the blue economy as we know it, and a lot of the largest companies that have come out of Iceland have to do with sort of a transformation of technology in the production sector of seafood and into other sort of poultry, etc. And when it comes to logistics and other aspects of the blue economy. And I want to highlight sort of the publications also of the Iceland Ocean Cluster and projects such as sort of the 100% fish, because what has been sort of one of the biggest steps during this century in Iceland when it comes to the blue economy is the full or the higher utilization of seafood, for example. So take the Icelandic cod, for example. It's a 30 sort of fold increase of the utilization of byproducts and 4-fold sort of value per kilo of this fish. You can see sort of the traditional ways we look at a cod when it comes to seafood, the liver, maybe the omega oil, but now sort of higher up the value chain you also have food supplements, cosmetics and medical products. And these are quite important aspects when it comes to sort of building up value in the blue economy. And as an example, in Iceland today, around 80% of the cod is usually utilized, and the average for Atlantic cod globally is around 50%. So the value chain sort of for utilization has taken a step up, and pharmaceuticals sort of is the new king when it comes to the cod. And with blue growth in Iceland, and again from sort of the ocean cluster, you can look at sort of these aspects that, of course, you all know from your own countries, where it comes to high growth and new tech. And you'll have very interesting presentations on both algae and aquaculture later today in the bioeconomy session from Icelandic companies. And these are sort of the new aspects. So given what I was discussing when Iceland became independent, there are fortunately more circles than fisheries now, and hopefully there will be opportunities for collaboration with Icelandic entities on these. And sort of finally, just to highlight these participants we have here. So we have 2 presentations from Den Algalíf and Deep Atlantic in the bioeconomy session that hopefully will be of interest. And we also have Everest, which has been fundamental in sort of bringing in investors and projects into Iceland and with international partners, including the EEA and Norway Grants. And then Matís at least is online and other companies, but Matís has been working within the food industry when it comes to, for example, the fuller utilization of products. And of course, you have myself and Katrín, my colleague. So if you have any inquiries, then please let us know, and we are ready to help.
Thank you very much. And now then it's time for a short coffee break. It is possible that there will be some queue to get coffee, so then I will encourage you to bring your coffee back into the room, because we would really like to start again at 12:20. So then we will have the full hour for the lunch. We have one short session left, but then please be here at 12:20. Thank you. Okay, are we ready to start again? We will now continue with the presentations of the national priorities and strategies. So the next one will be Latvia. And for the presentation for Latvia, we have the Deputy Director General of the Investment and Development Agency in Latvia, LIA, which, by the way, is the program operator for the EEA and Norway Grants in Latvia. So please, Laura Oshakova, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Magnar. Hello, everyone. I hope that everybody got their caffeine injection and are feeling energetic. Today I will show Latvia from the investment perspective. what we are doing, what we have gained, and what are our plans for the future. So Latvia is on a mission, and why we are appropriate for missions, and what's in our ground. We are located in the heart of Baltics. We have more than 450 kilometers of coastal area. Lately, the Index Ventures ranked us as the first among countries, a startup-friendly country, due to our incentives to help startups to do their businesses and to innovate here in Latvia. We have a mission to become the headquarter of sustainable innovations, addressing the circular economy climate challenges by creating an environment for global scale rapid innovations. Later on, within my presentation regarding Mission C, I will explain more what are these incentives. We have also many KPIs set in different documents, which is both the National Industrial Policy and others. We are a natural playground for executive ideas, and our society is really connected and very innovative to help building different ideas. One of the trends with drone innovations is also growing here in Latvia. So we are trying to help them to test their innovations. Why one should choose Latvia? We have a competitive tax policy, not only zero corporate income tax, but also we have introduced a fast track for sustainable innovations last year, which already has brought more than 10 projects to Latvia up until May this year. So it's really helping investors to choose Latvia as a place for sustainable innovations in different smart specialization areas. We are also digital and innovative. Different indexes shows that we are among the top leaders regarding different innovations and connectivity issues in the EU. I suppose many of you have flown the Air Baltic, our airline. We have super connected, and if we can't fly to some country like directly, we are usually surprised, like why? Because we have very great connections with most of the world. And of course, our Rail Baltica project that will connect many countries is our next big challenge to succeed in. I mentioned smart specialization areas, so we have 5 smart specialization areas, among which biomedicine is undeniable leader. We in biomedicine among the Baltic states, whether it's artificial spider network to build artificial muscles or largest biobanks. So this is one field we are in particularly strong and have really deep knowledge in. The second is bioeconomy. We are definitely one of the greenest countries in Europe, and that's why we comply with the Green Deal and set even higher targets than the EU to succeed and take care of our nature. And of course, smart energy. Tomorrow there will be many discussions and presentations regarding smart energy. Up until now, hydroelectric power is very widely used in Latvia due to the fact that we have many rivers, among some are really strong. But together with our Estonian partners, we have a very challenging project, the offshore wind project, which we are planning to make. So this will be one of the top priorities in smart energy field. And also, if we speak about smart cities and how to make the city smart and diverse and open to innovation, actually Riga, our capital city, and one other city, Liepāja, has just got into 100 cities of EU. This is EU mission smart cities that will become carbon neutral up until 2030. So we have accepted the challenge and will be among 100 of EU cities that will do this by 2030. We have one of the innovation districts, VEF, which is also striving different projects and innovation activities within Riga and also outside it. So many tech specialists and turnovers regarding IT sector in Latvia. Another one I mentioned already, drones, is the test beds, and to help innovation processes to grow and to help startups. Country, city has to have test beds to test all these innovative processes. These are the test beds that are already going on here in Latvia, but we are also planning to build a new test bed in Riga Seaport to test innovations regarding blue economy and water. So this is our next test bed to be built. Hopefully this year. We have already made great effort to help to become it real. And taking the opportunity, I also invite you to the 3Cs Summit, which will happen in June in Riga, and which will also cover different panels. This is a high-level business forum happening every year in 3Cs countries. And this year it's in Riga, so everybody is welcomed to join us, whether in some panel or as attendants. Thank you and welcome on board.
Thank you, Laura. And we will stay in the Baltics and we'll go to Lithuania. And from Lithuania, we have the Lithuanian Maritime Cluster, and they are represented by Mr. Andrius Sutnikas. Please, Andrius.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For me, it's of course hard to be the last from the Baltic states, and I didn't bring a PowerPoint presentation because it was recommended by organizers, I understand. That's just a joke. But I am the coordinator of Lithuanian Maritime Cluster, and here just to talk about Lithuanian blue growth industry, I can really come to the conclusion that mainly Lithuanian maritime economy or the blue growth sector is dominated by the traditional industry. So we are mainly in port and shipyard industries. Port and shipyards together probably combined is the biggest logistic and shipyard hub in Baltic states. We employ approximately 6,000 people and contribute to approximately 9% of Lithuania's economy. Nevertheless, our industry companies in 2018 has started the journey of the industry transition and established Lithuanian Maritime Cluster, which actually aims to facilitate the innovation and added value development within the traditional industries, strengthening the competitiveness of Lithuanian maritime industry in general. So now we are in the field where we are just established the Klaipėda University Future Fund and Blue Growth Leadership Academy to really facilitate the future developments and leadership for maritime economy development in Klaipėda region. Also, Klaipėda University has become a member of one of the European university initiatives that is focused on the maritime industry and coastal cities. Those 9 universities just recently launched the master study for blue biotech in the blue biotech field, and we are in a very beginning of our journey where we are looking on how these traditional industries can contribute from the scientific knowledge and R&D. And 3 major, so to say, strategic directions that our maritime industry is now focusing on is first is energy independence. You probably understand the geopolitical situation of our country. So, I mean, we started this in 2017 actually together with our Norwegian partners or Norwegian colleagues, and established the first floating LNG terminal in Klaipėda port. Now we are on a go towards the same direction, and we are looking into possibilities to distribute and load hydrogen and green ammonia as a future energy sources. Also, we are into the alternative energies, so Klaipėda port as such is becoming an energy hub for development of wind offshore sector of Lithuania. Here we are looking into approximately 3 gigawatt hours that can be developed in the offshore sector. And of course, the third sector where we are in is environmental or Green Deal. And here we have a lot of startup companies and industries working with solutions to overcome the environmental regulations in the field of ballast water treatment, scrubbers, alternative fuels, and other possible solutions to make our shipping and our ports greener. So this would be a short update from Lithuania. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Good, thank you. And then we'll go to Norway. And from Innovation Norway, the Department for Business Partnerships, we have the director, Gaute Hagerup. And his department will actually, as from the 1st of June, change name to the Department of Special Assignments. And that is because this department is the James Bond unit of Innovation Norway. Please, Gaute.
Thank you, Magnar, and that would make you James Bond, I guess, then. Thank you for inviting me. Norway is one of the world's leading ocean economies. Our coastline is one of the longest in the world, and we control an ocean area which is 6 times larger than our land-based area. Every day, hundreds of thousands of Norwegians go to work in the ocean industries, which represent about 70% actually of our export income. Norway is one of the world's largest producers of oil and gas, which perhaps nowadays we should be, it's a little bit ambivalent saying it out loud, but it's the fact nevertheless. And I think that what we should be proud of is the way that this industry has brought forward some of the world's leading technologies within maritime industry, and the way that we are now using this technology to transition into the green future. Norway is one of the world's second largest exporter of fish and seafood. We have world-class service and supply industry as well as shipping design. We are one of the world's largest and most advanced seafaring nations, both historically and currently. For generations, the ocean-based industries have demonstrated amazing ability and innovation and technological development. And this has shaped the basis of much of today's modern, advanced Norway. The Norwegian government will use this as a basis for further growth and development and to see new green industries emerge. World-class petroleum technology is already at the center of development of ocean-based aquaculture and ocean-based renewable energy. It is now being set to work to solve some of the most important tasks of our times. Shipping is one of Norway's oldest industries. Think about the Vikings. The maritime industry currently consists of shipping companies, equipment suppliers, service providers, and shipyards distributed all along the coast. Norwegian maritime businesses have largely specialized in high-tech market segments, and we are also world leaders in the development and use of clean energy solutions such as liquid natural gas and batteries in maritime transportation. You will hear more about this on the thematic session this afternoon from my good colleague Roger Martinsen. He will present green shipping in Norway this afternoon. You'll also hear more about the green shipping program from DNV, which is a public-private partnership. DNV, one of the world's leading maritime classification companies with offices in more than 150 countries. You will also hear a business case on electrification from Finn Rogstad and the company Corvus Energy. The seafood industry is important to value creation and employment in coastal areas, especially in the northernmost counties, and Norwegian seafood products are highly sought after in the international market. Actually, last year we had a record-breaking export value of 120 billion NOK, that equals 12 billion euros. Of export with seafood from Norway. The seafood industry is traditionally divided into three sectors: the fishing industry, the aquaculture industry, and the seafood processing industry. There is also the associated supply industry, which delivers equipment and services to the seafood industry. In the thematic session on blue bioeconomy and algae production, also this afternoon, you will hear from one of our clusters, the Aquatech cluster, also being part of the Norwegian Innovation Cluster program. You'll also hear from venture capitalist, the Catapult Ocean Accelerator later today. As I mentioned, we are a nation of seafarers, long time ago, up until today. So in the session of Smart Ports tomorrow, I recommend you go and listen to Bergen, our second city, which aims to be the greenest and smartest port in the world. So I wish you all good luck with the remains of today and with the collaboration in the days and weeks and years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaute. And then we'll go to our partner from Poland, from the Polish innovation agency PARP. And from PARP, we have Monika Karvat-Buri. Please, Monika, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Monika Karvat. I'm representing the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development. And I'm very stressed with the 6 minutes because if somebody knows me, I always talk too much and too loud. So as you see, I don't need the microphone. So I start the clock, Magnar, and go. 6 minutes. Okay, so I will give you some short presentation about the Poland. You see, don't need the microphone. the Poland and sea and river and lakes in Poland, and then I skip to the role and task of Polish Agency for Enterprise Development and a few words about the Blue Growth Scheme, which we launched twice during this Norwegian funds perspective. So here you see the Polish coasts of Baltic Sea. We have almost 800 kilometers of sea coasts. I will not focus today on the sea because when we experienced the Blue Growth Scheme, we saw that a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing and operating also in lakes and the rivers, and we have a lot of potential there. In the sea, of course, there is a lot of potential, but mostly we have a big operators, big companies, also quite well-known shipyards. We have main ports in Gdańsk, Gdynia, Szczecin and Świnoujście. Poland is also one of the biggest exporter of the yachts, so we have a lot of shipyards with producing really innovative and modern yachts. And we have also a lot of lakes, a great area of lakes. I have chosen only the one, maybe the best or the well-known area. It's the Masurian, the Great Masurian Lake District, but also we have also other lake districts, but this one is the most well-known in Poland, mostly because of the tourism, because of the great opportunities for tourism there. And during the pandemic, Polish, which are quite eager to go to Croatia, to Egypt, to other countries, they realized that we have a lot of beautiful countryside here in Poland. So during pandemic, the Masurian lakes and our sea coast were overloaded of Polish tourists. So now we really go and to explore our own tourist attractions. And some few words about the agency which I came from. This is the Norwegian for the operator, the program operator for the Norwegian funds in this perspective. For our agency, it's the first time to be the operator. But as a government agency, we have more than 20 years of experience with European funds. I could say, frankly, that the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development is the biggest and the most important government agency responsible for supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. With European funds, with government funds, and also with other sources of funds for the entrepreneur for the entrepreneurships. Here on the slide, you can see some figures. They are figures in billions euro, and we have a lot of experience and a lot of companies who were grown up, who were supported from the European Union funds, and now we have also possibility to support them through the Norwegian funds. In a view of the European funds, we are preparing to the next perspective, and now we know already that also PARP will be the part of the institutional institutional infrastructure for the supporting entrepreneurs. But to focus on Norwegian funds, we started with 97 million euro, but our budget was lately in the last year decreased. Oh, my time is over. Oh, cannot. Okay. I really failed. Failed 100%. So now we have more than 100 million euro. And for the Blue Growth scheme, budget is more or less 28 euro, because we have some savings from other schemes, and probably we will use all these savings for the last call, which was launched at the beginning of this year and just closed. And of course, we have a donor program partner, which is Innovation Norway. That's why probably Magnar is not so strict with me, because we already know each other. So the first call, the quick numbers, we have 28 entrepreneurs interested, and which applied for the program. And the amount of the submitted projects is was twice bigger than we have a budget for the first call. And we have chosen 12 of the projects, and now we are in the middle of contracting progress with these recommended projects. Here you have information about the sector of these projects recommended. And when, as you can see, most of them are in the part of amusement and recreations activities. It's a rather rare name for the tourism, for the activities connected with water sports, with small marines, and most of the projects which were recommended are in this sector, which we are quite happy, because I think that this area of the small activities near rivers, near lakes, really need to evaluate, to be more competitive, to be more greener. So we are really happy that we found some of these projects to support. These are one of these projects of a small, really small marine, which will be self-sufficient in terms of energy, and which will have a great new modern system for the ships and small yachts on the little lake Taiti in the Masurian districts. And as I said before, we have some savings from other schemes, and we decided to launch another call for the Blue Growth. And numbers are quite, I would say, scary, because we had 136 projects, and you can see the amount of these submitted projects is 5 times bigger than we have the money to spend. So now we are in the process of assessing all these projects, and we are hoping that we will choose the best of them to support. And this is all from me. The last sentence, probably why we are here, because I'm here with my colleague from the PARP, but here are also representatives from the entrepreneurs, so you can see them and listen to them and their experience in the blue economy also during the conference panels. But we are here mostly because we would like to share the experience, also to listen of the ideas how to support entrepreneurship within the blue economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monica. And for the record, I have known you for a long time and you don't talk too much. We'll then go to one of our other partners, the Director General for Maritime Policy in Portugal, DGPM. And from the DGPM, we have the Program Director, Sandra Silva. Sandra, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is a great pleasure. And I will start my presentation focus on blue economy funding, because I would like to give an overview what is the blue funding economy in Portugal, and then I will straight more detailed on our blue growth program. So when we're talking about blue economy funding, our main scopes are, so we want to fund directly our national entities from Portugal, of course, in order to promote jobs and also to growth in Portugal. And we also have the main concern that these funds should be complementary to each other and also give lots of opportunities regarding the amounts in funding schemes depending the stage of the projects or the stage of the companies. And we will like also focus on support innovative and projects and productive within the blue economy. So to give you some examples, in Portugal, we have the Blue Fund. Andreas has already speak and give Portugal as an example, having several kinds of funds. This Blue Fund is a national fund focused on promoting business development, but also research and security, monitoring and protecting the sea. We also have, of course, several funds from the structural funds from the European Union. Portugal 2020 is already closing, and we have the EEA grants mechanism, of course. But we also have other opportunities like the Horizon Europe, the new Portugal 2020-2030, and the recovery plan from the European Union also. And this is several examples. Regarding our program in Portugal of the EEA grants, we have the Blue Growth Innovation and SMEs, as was already mentioned here, which Director General for Maritime Policy is the program operator, and it counts with 4 donor program partners. One of them is Magnar from Innovation Norway. We have also Hegel from Hanish, and also from the Research Council of Norway, and the DICU. This is an education agency for Norway. And our program has almost 46 million euros, 39 from the EEA grants. Our program is main focus on business development, of course. This is the main budget, and the objective is to add value creation in our entrepreneurs and help them to develop new solutions in order to make them to become more competitive. But we have also 2 main areas in our program that for us is a complementarity, because we also have research in here. Not only research dedicated to the business development, but also research to help to give a higher knowledge through the ocean monitoring and protection issues. And we also have education and training, because if you are talking about innovation and new products and services, we need to have higher capabilities in human resource. And in this scope, we also have a component regarding ocean literacy. So just to give you a feedback and a whole picture, we have already launched 10 calls. We received more 2,254 projects, more to 3 predefined projects. We approve until now 91 projects, but we are closing the second main call regarding business and also other regarding training and jobs. So we estimate to approve a total of 116 projects. We have at least 50 representatives entities from the donor countries, and this is what we achieve until now, and I suppose next month we will close this and go throughout implementation of the program. This is just to give you an overview that Portugal Continental and also the islands from Madeira and Azores all benefits from the projects and from the EEA Grants Blue Growth Program. And here, my message that I would like to give to you is that even the scope and the concept note of our program were designed previously. This, for instance, the European Green Deal and also the Sustainable Development Objectives from the Agenda 2030. Our program is aligned with these national and international policies. And we also have approved last year our national strategy for this ocean. And of course, we are also aligned with this strategy because the main words and focus of our national strategy for the ocean is healthy ocean, as it could not should be, a sustainable blue development, and also a scientific knowledge. And to finish my presentation, we are all here to the main purpose to fostering partnership, identify business opportunities. And for this, we bring at least 10 Portuguese companies that are here, all of them related to the main scopes of these thematic issues, the green shipping, smart ports, offshore wind energy, and blue bioeconomy. So I invite you to engage this event and do lots of meetings and networking. And I will also would like to invite you all, because as you know, this year in June, between the 27th of June and the 1st of July, we will have in Lisbon the United Nations Ocean Conference. And in this conference, besides the great events that will be there, there will be several parallel events and special events focused on business economy. And I think it also could be a good opportunity to you go to Lisbon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. And then we have one more presentation before we will have the lunch break, and that is Romania. And from Romania, we have the National Institute for Research and Development of Maritime Geology and it's called GeoEcomar, is the short name of this. And then from that, we have Ms. Selma Menabi, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation and for this opportunity to represent Romania and GeoEcomar. Unfortunately, I don't have a presentation, so I will speak very briefly about the blue economy development in Romania. And also I will mention some initiatives, some research projects that GeoEcomar is involved. So according to the European Commission, the blue economy in Romania is less developed as compared to other sea basin countries. The blue economy in Romania, the established sectors, currently provide 6,600 jobs and generates a gross value added of over 1 billion euros. Nevertheless, their number has decreased by 20% since 2009 as compared to the decrease of 5% of the total number of jobs in the national economy. The percentage of jobs in the blue economy is almost 1% of the total national employment, a relatively small percentage compared to most European countries. The gross value added generated by the blue economy increased by almost 20% compared to 2009, rather low compared to the increase of gross value added at the national level, which was 60%. The contribution of the blue economy to the national economy in terms of gross added value is rather low, being less than 1%. According to data from 2018, amongst the Romanian blue economy sectors, the shipbuilding and repair and the tourism sector, especially the coastal tourism, are the most important in terms of gross value added, showing an increasing trend during the last decade. Jerry Komar is the General Coordinator of Horizon 2020, developing optimal open research support for the Black Sea Research Project. DORS aims to link citizens, science, and industry for Black Sea regeneration, stimulating blue economy opportunities. The project brings together the expertise and technology from 37 institutions from the Black Sea region and European countries to address the human and climate change impacts on marine ecosystem. DORS will open up the region for economic opportunities for business in areas of tourism, technology, fishing, shipbuilding, maritime transport, education, renewables, and much more. Emerging blue growth sectors will be supported and the development of startups accelerated as we build community understanding, supporting a new generation of active citizens and industry. DORS will build on previous programs of research to bring the 4 pillars of the strategic research and innovation agenda into reality, turning the challenges into opportunities, and making the Black Sea highly valued, productive, healthy, and resilient. This will be delivered through 3 integrated work programs: System of Systems, Knowledge Transfer and Trainings, and Blue Growth Accelerator. The Blue Growth Accelerator will enable the identification of sectors and entrepreneurs for innovation, provide professional support to unlock their potential, enhance the exploitation of knowledge, and facilitate access to investors and constructive exchange between scientists, entrepreneurs, and policymakers for sustainable development of blue growth sectors. Through its outputs, DORS will develop and implement an ecosystem-based framework to support the sustainable development of blue growth sectors and the nurturing of startups. The evidence generated from this project will inform policy development and implementation and build community understanding, which in turn will support behavioral change. Finally, Jerry Komar is also one of the core partners in another 2 initiatives: coordination of marine and maritime research and innovation in the Black Sea, and advancing Black Sea research and innovation to co-develop blue growth within resilient ecosystems, which also aim to promote a shared vision for sustainable blue economy development in the basin by 2030 by supporting policy development and joint innovation and industry actions, linking stakeholders, funding bodies, and institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. According to the agenda, I'm now supposed to sum up this session, but I will only thank all the speakers for the interesting presentations. I think that we now have a good platform for the thematic discussions that will take place after. So just some practical information. The session on green shipping will take place in this room, and then the session on blue bioeconomy will be in a room 1 floor down from here. And I also have a message to the speakers in the next sessions, and that is that they should be present in the rooms 1:45, because the technical staff need to wire them up. So speakers, please be present in the room 15 minutes before the start of the session at 2 o'clock. But now it's the lunch break, and the lunch will be served on the other side of the hall. So thank you very much, all of you, for your contribution and for your participation in this session. Thank you.